Welcome, my dear learners, for this course on Design of Machine Elements 2. In our module 4, we were discussing about design of bevel gears and worm gears. In our lecture 1 of module 4, we have already discussed the design procedure for completely designing the bevel gear. Let us solve our first problem on design of bevel gear in today's class. The problem number 1 states that a pair of 20-degree full-depth involute teeth bevel gears connect two shafts at right angles having velocity ratio 3:1. The gear is made of cast steel 0.2% untreated and pinion material is of steel C30 heat treated. The pinion has 20 number of teeth and transmits 40 kW at 750 rpm. Determine the module face width pitch diameter. Suggest suitable surface hardness for the gear pair. Now let us solve this problem. If I note down the data given for this problem, the data will be the pressure angle alpha is 20 degree and tooth form is full depth involute. It is clearly stated the bevel gears connect two shafts at right angles. So therefore the shaft angle sigma is 90 degree. The material for gear is given. The gear is made of cast steel 0.2% carbon untreated. Whereas the pinion is made of steel C30 heat treated. The pinion has 20 number of teeth. Z1 is given, which is 20, and transmit a power P of 40 kilowatts. The speed N1 is given, which is 750 rpm. Determine the module face width pitch diameter and suggest the suitable surface hardness for the gear pair. Let us solve this problem. Coming for the solution, as I already discussed, before moving on to the steps to solve this problem, first we should know the prerequisites. Coming for prerequisites, the first prerequisite is in what form we should handle the module equation. Since the pitch circle diameter is not given to us, we should solve the module equation in the form of m cube Cv. So therefore the first prerequisite is that we should solve the module equation in the form m cube Cv. This is because of the reason the pitch circle diameter is not known to us. Coming for the second prerequisite, that is the number of teeth on pinion and number of teeth on gear. Already he has given the number of teeth on pinion, so Z1 is equal to 20. So therefore we know that I is equal to Z2 by Z1. Hence Z2 will become 3 times 20, which yields us 60 teeth. And also the RPM is given. N1 is 750 RPM. I is equal to N1 by N2, and N2 will become 750 by 3, which is nothing but 250 RPM. Next, moving on for third prerequisite, that is material details. Coming for the material details, he has clearly stated the gear is made of cast steel 0.2% steel untreated and pinion is made of steel C30 heat treated. Now referring to table 2.7, page number 234 of our design data handbook, the allowable static stress for pinion, that is for steel C30 heat treated material, is 220.6 megapascals. and the allowable static stress for gear, which is made of cast steel 0.2% carbon untreated material, will be 138.3 megapascals. With these prerequisites, we can move on and solve the problem. Coming for step 1, to find the pitch cone angle for right angle bevel gauge, that is the shaft angle is equal to 90 degree. We have the pitch cone angle for pinion and gear are given by equation 12.32a and 12.32b of page number 217 of our design data handbook. That is, for pinion we have tan delta 1 is equal to 1 by I. Substituting and solving, we will get delta 1 is equal to tan inverse of 1 by 3, which gives us delta 1 as 18.435. This is equation number 12.32a. Coming for the pitch cone angle of gear, tan delta 2 is equal to I. So therefore, solving for delta 2, we will get tan inverse of 3, which yields us 71.565. This is equation number 12.32b. So both are present in page number 217 of our design data handbook. Now moving on to step 2, that is to find the equivalent or formative number of teeths. That is step 2, from equation 12.35d referring to page number 218 of our design data handbook, we have the formula Z equivalent is equal to Z by cos delta. This is from equation 12.35d, page number 218 of our design data handbook. So now substituting the corresponding values, I can calculate Z equivalent of pinion and Z equivalent of gear. That is, Z equivalent 1 is equal to the number of teeth on pinion is 20 and the pitch cone angle of pinion is 18.435 degrees. So if I solve, I will get the equivalent number of teeth as 21.082. Similarly, finding the equivalent number of teeth on gear, the number of teeth on gear is 16. The pitch cone angle of gear is 71.565, in which I will get Z equivalent to as 189.736 teeth. Once you find out the equivalent or formative number of teeth, now we can find the Lewis form factor. Step 3 is to find the Lewis form factor based on the tooth form at pressure angle, that is 20 degree full depth involute teeth, referring to equation 12.5d, page number 204 of our design data handbook. We have the Lewis form factor given by y is equal to 0.154 minus 0.912 by Z equivalent. Now substituting the corresponding values, I can find the Lewis form factor for pinion and Lewis form factor for gear. That is, y1 is equal to 0.154 minus 0.912 by Z equivalent 1 is 21.082. So solving which, I will get y1 as 0.1107. Similarly, the Lewis form factor for gear will be 0.154 minus 0.912 by Z equivalent to is 189.736. 189.736. Solving which, I will get the Lewis form factor for gear as 0.14919. Once we have calculated the value of Lewis form factor for pinion and gear, we can move on and determine the weaker member. So design should be based on weaker member. Now step 4 is to find the weaker member. Formulating the table to find the weaker member, under particulars we have pinion and gear. The allowable static stress of pinion is 220.6, which is obtained from table 12.7, and allowable static stress of gear is 138.3. Coming for the Lewis form factors, for pinion we have 0.1107 and for gear it is 0.14919. So if I multiply, I will get the product of sigma d into y as 24.42 for pinion and 20.63 for gear. So it is clear that gear is the weaker member. Therefore, design is based on gear. Once we have determined which is the weaker member, next step is to find the module. Moving for step 5, to find the module, referring to equation 12.37, page number 218 of our design data handbook, we have the equation for tangential force as Ft is equal to sigma d Cv face width B capital Y into module times L minus B by L. So this is from equation 12.37, page number 218. Now I should formulate this equation in the form of m cube Cv. Now express the unknowns in terms of module, automatically you will get the equation in terms of m cube Cv. That is, the formula for Ft is already known to us, where Ft is given by 2mt by d2, because we are designing for gear. So this is from equation 12.8a, referring to page number 206. Also mt is known to us, the formula is not available, but we know the formula. The torque is given by 9.55 into 10 to the power of 6 into P by N2, because we are designing for gear, times the service factor, where the value of service factor CS is equal to 1.5, taken from table 12.8. The assumption made is that the gear is working for 8 to 10 hours per day and subjected to medium shocks. We know all the values. Now substituting and calculating, I will get the torque as mt is equal to 9.55 into 10 to the power of 6 into power is 40 kilowatts by N2. N2 we have to calculate, it is 250 into CS is 1.5. If I solve, I will get the torque as 22,92,000 newtons millimeter. Now we have calculated the torque. Substituting into this equation, I will get the value of Ft as Ft is equal to 2 times 22,92,000 as the torque we have, divided by d2. Since d2 is unknown, I already explained we should express the unknowns in terms of module. That is, d is equal to mz. From the definition of module, we know that module is nothing but the ratio of pitch circle diameter to number of teeth. So therefore, pitch circle diameter is equal to module times the number of teeth. That is m into number of teeth. That is number of teeth on gear. That is Z2. Z2 is calculated, which is 60. If I calculate, I'll get the value of Ft as 76,400 divided by module, because we have substituted D2 is equal to m times Z2. I am simplifying, I am getting the value of Ft in terms of module as 76,400 divided by module. Next, moving on for sigma d, it is sigma d2, whose value is already known to us, 138.3 CV. We should keep it because we should express in terms of m cube CV. Coming for b, b is face width. The face width is obtained from equation given by equation 12.36b, page number 218. Is nothing but b is less than or equal to L by 3. This is from equation 12.36b, page number 218. We should take the value as b is equal to L by 3. But L is also unknown. Now we know the equation for L, which is given by L is equal to 1 by 2 times square root of d1 square plus d2 square. This is from equation 12.33, referring to page number 218. Now we know the value of d is equal to mz. So therefore, replacing and solving, I get L is equal to m by 2 times z1 square plus z2 square. This is because of the reason we know that d is equal to m into z. Now substituting the values and simplifying, I'll get length L as m by 2 into square root of z1 is 20 and z2 is 60. So simplifying which, L will be equal to 31.623 times the module. Now the face width B, which is equal to L by 3, will be 10.541 times the module. Now we have calculated the unknown values in this equation. Now substituting to this equation and simplifying, I will get the value of m cube CV as Ft is 76,400 by m. Ft is 76,400 by m, which is equal to sigma d2. Sigma d2 is 138.3 times CV should be kept as it is, times B is known to us 10.541 times the module, times we have y, which is given by pi times the small y2. Y2 is known to us 0.14919 times the module, times L minus B by L. So module will get cancelled. So substituting the values of L and M, I will get 31.623 minus 10.541 divided by 31.623. Now if you clearly observe, we have 1 m here and 1 m here. M into m will become m square. Send this m to right hand side, it will become m cube, and one known unknown is CV. So we get the value of m cube CV by multiplying m to right hand side and all other terms to left hand side. So which yields us the value as 167.639. So this is the reference value to find the module. This is obtained by sending module to right hand side and sending all the known numerical values to left hand side, and we'll end up with m into m is m square into m will be m cube times the CV. Now to find the value of module, we should go for trial and error method, which is very simple in this case, because the CV will remains constant irrespective of the changing value of velocity, because the value of CV, we have only two equations: if the teeths are made up of form cutting or if the teeths are made up of generation. So assuming generated teeths, we can find the module as from trial and error method. Let me formulate the table for trial and error. First one is assumed module. So once I assume the module, I can find the diameter d2. d2 is equal to m times z2. Once I find the diameter, I can find the value of velocity v is equal to by d2 n2 by 60,000. Once I find the velocity, I can find the value of CV, which is given by 6.1 by 6.1 plus v, assuming generated teeths. And finally, I will calculate m cube CV adoption. So the table will look like this. Now we should assume the module from table 12.2 giving preference 1. Table 12.2 taking preference 1. Instead of blindly choosing the modules, if you clearly observe, m cube CV must be greater than 167.639. If I choose module as 5 cube is 125. So therefore we cannot exceed. So from the common sense, if we think properly, we can state that the module should be greater than 6. So therefore, choosing the value of 6 from table 12.2 of our design data handbook, considering preference 1. So if I choose module as 6, I will get the diameter d2 as 360 and the velocity as 4.712. Corresponding value of CV will be 0.564 and the value of m cube CV is 121.86. This value 121.86 is less than 167, which is not required. So therefore I cannot adopt module 6. Now if I refer table 12.2, we don't have module 7 under preference 1. So therefore moving for module 8, assuming module 8, I will get the value of diameter as 480 millimeters and velocity as 6.283 and the value of CV as 0.493 and finally m cube CV will be 252.22. So from this it is clear that m cube CV adoption value is exceeding the required value of 167. So therefore adopt module is equal to 8 millimeters. We have determined the module. So once we have calculated the module, the next step is to check for stresses, that is induced stress and allowable static stress. Before moving on to checking for induced stress and allowable static stress, let me pause this video for a while so that you people can note it down. Before moving on to checking for stress, let me calculate the tangential force, length and face width. Just now we have found out the relationship between tangential force and module, which is given by 76,400 by module. So therefore the tangential load will become 76,400 by 8, which is turning out to be 9,550 newtons. Coming for the value of length L is equal to 31.623 times the module is 8, so therefore length will be 252.984 millimeters. Coming for the face width B, we have face width B which is equal to 10.541 times the module is 8. If I solve, I will get the value of face width as 84.328 millimeters. That is Ft is equal to. Coming for step 6, checking for stresses. Let us check for induced stress first. We already know the procedure. First we should find the allowable stress, that is sigma d into Cv allowable, which is equal to, I should use sigma d2 because we are designing it for gear. Sigma d2 is 138.3. Cv just now we have calculated for module is equal to 8, Cv is 0.493. If I solve, I'll get the value of sigma dCv allowable as 68.126 megapascals. Now to find the induced stress from equation 12.37, page number 218, the same equation which we have used to find the module, we have the formula for Ft as Ft is equal to sigma d Cv B capital Y M L minus B by L. So rearranging the terms to find the value of sigma d Cv induced, I will get sigma d Cv induced as Ft divided by this term. The value of Ft is known to us, which is 9,550 divided by the value of face width B is 84.328, capital Y is 5 times the small y, y2 which is 0.14919 times the module is 8 times L minus B by L, which yields us, solving this equation, I will get sigma d Cv induced stress value as 45.305 megapascals. Now if you compare, sigma dCv allowable is greater than sigma dCv induced, so therefore the module 8 which we have adopted is safe module and the design is safe from induced stress point of view. Now coming for allowable bending stress, referring to equation 12.42, page number 219 of our design data handbook, we have the allowable bending stress equation as sigma is equal to K2 square Mt Kc Kd into square root of I square plus 1 whole divided by module times I capital Y times K2 minus 0.5 square into L square cos alpha, it should be less than sigma d. Since we are designing it for gear, the value of sigma d is nothing but sigma d2, which is 138.6 megapascals, 138.3. Now coming for the value of K2, which is L by B, so therefore its value is always 3 for all the problems, because B is L by 3, L will get cancelled and K2 will be 3 for allowable bending stress calculations. Coming for the value of Kc, we can take the value as 1.19 from table 12.10 of page number 235, we have calculated for b by d2, which is 0.1756, and considered cantilever pinion. Coming for the value of KD, the value of KD is 1.4. This is from table 12.11, page number 236. Considering medium accurate gaze with peripheral velocity V 3 to 8, because the peripheral velocity for us is 6.283 meters per second. One important note is that there is a printing mistake in our design data handbook. This is not N, this is M module. We know all the values. If I substitute and solve, I will get the allowable bending stress sigma as 3 square times the torque. MT is, we have already calculated the value of MT, which is 22,92,000 Newton millimeters. So substituting the value, we have 22,92,000 Newton millimeters times Kc is 1.19, Kd is 1.4 times square root of 3 square plus 1 whole divided by module is 8, velocity ratio is 3, capital Y is 5 times the small y2, y2 is 0.14919 times K2 is 3 minus 0.5 square times L is 252.984 square times cos alpha, pressure angle is 20 degree. If I solve this, I will get the value of allowable bending stress as 25.703. This is less than the static allowable stress, which is 138.3 megapascals. So therefore, the design is safe from allowable bending stress point of view. Next, moving on to step 7 to find the proportions of bevel teeth. Before moving on to step 7, let me pause this video for a while. Coming for step 7, that is proportions of bevel teeth or dimensions. Case A, we should solve for table 12.23a. From table 12.23a, we have normal depth of addendum for pinion as well as for gear. It is equal to module, which is equal to 8 millimeters respectively. Coming for the second one, that is normal depth of dedendum both for pinion and gear, it is equal to 1.157 times the module. We already know the module is 8 millimeters, so therefore if I solve, I will get it as 9.256, which are denoted by HCA1, HCA2, HF1, HF2. Coming for the third important parameter, that is hole depth of teeth, which is denoted by H for both pinion and for gear. This is equal to 2.157 times the module. Therefore, the hole depth of pinion and gear both are equal to 17.256 millimeters. Substituting the module as 8 millimeters. Now, coming for the fourth parameter, that is normal addendum angle. Theta A is equal to m by L. So therefore, for both pinion and for gear, it is equal, which is equal to, module is 8 and length is 252.984, solving which I'll get the value as 0.0316 degrees. Coming for normal dedendum angle, we have the equation given by 1.57 m by L. Substituting the values, I will get the normal dedendum angle for both pinion and gear, which are equal. For this normal addendum angle and for normal dedendum angle, you can also use equation 12.29c and 12.29d present in page number 215 of our design data handbook. You will get the same answer. You can verify it. Next, in B, we should solve for equations 12.30 A and B. So coming for next dimensions, that is the outside diameters, using equation 12.30A and 12.30B of page number 215. For pinion, we have outside diameter of pinion is equal to D1. D1 we have not yet calculated, but we know the value of D2, which is 480 millimeters. We know that I is equal to D2 by D1. So therefore 480 by 8, which gives us 60. So therefore D1 is 60. For simplicity, let us note down the value of D1. So D1 is equal to D2 by I, which is 60 mm. The formula, substituting to the formula, D1 is 60 plus 2 times HA1. HA1 is 8 times cos delta 1, that is cos of delta 1 is 18.435. I will get outer diameter of pinion as 75.1789 millimeters. Similarly for gear, substituting the value of D2, HA2 and cos delta 2, I will get the value of outer diameter as 485.06 millimeters. Next, coming for C, we should find the mean diameter and mean module. We have the formula for mean diameter as dm is equal to 1 minus, substituting the values, I got mean module as 6.67 millimeters. The value of K2 is known to us, which is 3. K2 is equal to L by B. B is equal to L by 3. So cancelling off the length, I will get K2 as 3. For mean diameter, substituting the value of D1, I will get mean diameter of pinion. Substituting the value of D2, I will get the mean diameter of gear. Similarly, the module is same for both gear and pinion. So therefore, multiplying 8 for this term, I will get the mean module as 6.67 millimeters. Next, moving on for fourth parametric dimensions which we should calculate is equivalent dimensions. Using equation 12.35a, 12.35b, 12.35c, we should calculate the equivalent dimensions which are available in page number 218. Coming for equation 12.35a, the equivalent diameter is given by d by cos delta. Substituting the value of d1 and delta 1, that is 60 millimeters, and delta 1 18.435, I will get the value of d equivalent 1. Similarly, substituting the value of d2 and delta 2, d equivalent will become d2 by cos delta 2. If I substitute, I will get the equivalent pitch circle diameters. Equivalent pitch circle diameter of pinion, equivalent pitch circle diameter of gear. Coming for equation 12.35b, substituting the respective values of pinion and gear, I will get the equivalent outer diameter of pinion and equivalent outer diameter of gear. And finally, coming for equivalent gear ratio, which is given by equation 12.35c from page number 218. Equivalent gear ratio is equal to I square. The gear ratio is 3, so therefore equivalent gear ratio will become 9. So this completes our step number 7, wherein which we have calculated the various dimensions and proportions of bevel gear. Next, moving on for step 8 to determine the bearing load. Before moving on to step 8, let me pause this video for a while. Coming for step 8, that is bearing loads. As I said, we should solve equation 12.45a to 12.45f of page number 219 of our design data handbook. Coming for effective tooth load, it is given by equation number 12.45a, page number 219. We already know the value of Ft, which is 9550 newtons. Length is already known, 252.984. And the value of face width is also known to us, 84.328. Substituting and solving, I will get the effective tooth load, which is coming around 11,460 newtons. Next, moving on for equation 12.45b of page number 219, that is effective normal load. Effective normal load is given by the equation effective tooth load divided by cosine of the pressure angle. Substituting the corresponding values, the pressure angle is known to us, which is 20 degree full depth involute. I will get the effective normal load as 12,195.48 newtons. And moving on for load along pitch cone line, the formula is given by effective normal load times the sine of the pressure angle. So substituting the values, I will get the load along pitch cone line as 4,171 newtons. Next, moving on for radial load on bearings. The radial load on bearings is given by equation 12.45d of page number 219 of our design data handbook. Here, the value of pitch cone angle is different for both pinion and gear. If I substitute the value of pitch cone angle of pinion, I will get the radial load on bearings of pinion. Substituting the value of pitch cone angle of gear, I will get the radial load on bearings by gear, which is turning out to be 3,957 newtons for pinion, 1,319 for gear. Next, moving on for axial load or thrust. The formula is given by equation 12.45e of page number 219. Here also, substituting the value of pitch cone angle of pinion, I will get the thrust by pinion. Substituting the pitch cone angle of gear, I will get the axial load or thrust by gear. If you clearly observe, the radial load and thrust on gear and pinion are opposite to each other. That is, the radial load of pinion is equal to the axial thrust of gear. The radial load of gear is equal to the axial thrust of pinion. Next, moving for total lateral load on bearings, it is given by equation 12.45F, page number 219. Substitute the corresponding values of gear and pinion. I'll get the total lateral load on bearings by pinion and gear. So this completes our step number 8, that is bearing loads. Next, moving on for step 9 to find the dynamic load. Before moving on to find the dynamic load, let me pause this video for a while. Next, moving on to step 9 to find the dynamic load. From equation 12.40, page number 219, we have equation for dynamic load given by Fd is equal to K3V CB plus Ft divided by K3V plus root of CB plus Ft, which is given by equation 12.40, page number 219, where Ft is tangential load. The value of K3 is already known to us. This formula is same as the formula for dynamic load in spur gears, whose value is 20.67 in SI units. V3 is already known. V is already known to us, which is 6.283. C is the dynamic factor which we should calculate. B is the face width. The only unknown parameter in this equation is the dynamic factor C. We already know the procedure to find out the value of C. But to find the value of dynamic factor, first we should find the error. Since the class of gear is not mentioned, we should use table 12.14. If the class of gear is mentioned, we should use table 12.12 to find the error. If you clearly observe the data, the class of gear is not given, so therefore we should use table 12.14 to find the error. We have the value of error tabulated against the peripheral velocity, that is, for velocity is equal to 6 and velocity is equal to 8, we have error as 0.059 and 0.05, but we want the error for a value of velocity 6.283. For 6.283, I should calculate the value of error. Now, from the formula of interpolation, applying the formula of interpolation, the value of error can be determined as 6 minus 6.283 divided by 6 minus 8 is equal to 0.059 minus the value of error which I want divided by 0.059 minus 0.05. If I solve, I will get the value of error for velocity is equal to 6.283 as 0.0577. Once you obtain the value of error, use table 12.12 to find the dynamic factor. Now, to find the dynamic factor, from table 12.12 of page number 236, we have the dynamic factor C. If you observe, both gear and pinion are made of steel and steel combination, and the value of pressure angle is 20 degree. The tooth form is full depth involute. So therefore, for steel and steel combination with 20 degree full depth, we have the error and C values as the error what we have is 0.0577, which lies between 0.04 and 0.06, but I want the dynamic factor for 0.0577. For 0.04, the dynamic factor is 457.8. For 0.0577, I should find it out. For 0.06, the dynamic factor is 686.7. Now again, by interpolation, I can find the value of dynamic factor C for the error 0.0577 as, if I take this as A, B, C and treat this as 1, 2, 3, then the interpolation formula will be A minus B divided by A minus C is equal to 1 minus 2 divided by 1 minus 3. That is 0.04 minus 0.0577 divided by 0.04 minus 0.06 is equal to 457.8 minus 6 divided by 457.8 minus 686.7. If I solve using calculator, I will get the value of dynamic factor C as 660. Now we know all the values in this equation. If I substitute and simplify, I will get the dynamic load as Fd is equal to, Ft is known to us 9550 plus K3 is 20.67 into velocity is 6.283 times C is 660 into phase width 84.328 plus Ft is 9550 whole divided by 20.67 into 6.283 plus square root of 660 into 84.328 plus Ft is 9550. Now if I solve this, I will get the value of dynamic load as 9550 plus 21,982.83. If I add these two terms, I will get the dynamic load as 31,533 newtons. Once we have calculated the dynamic load, we can move on for step number 10 to find the wear load, and by using the condition we can recommend the BHL. That is, moving for step 10 to find the BHL. To find the hardness from equation 12.41 of page number 219 of our design data handbook, we know that the wear load Fw is given by V1 B Q equivalent into stress factor K divided by cos of delta 1. So this is from equation 12.41 page number 219 of our design data handbook. Now we know the value of D1 is 60 millimeters. We know the value of B is turning out to be 84.328 millimeters. Now to calculate the value of QE, we have the formula QE is equal to 2 times Z equivalent 2 divided by Z equivalent 1 plus Z equivalent 2. So substituting the value of Z equivalent 1 and Z equivalent 2, I can get the value of Q equivalent. that is 2 times 189.736 divided by 21.082 plus 189.7. If I solve, the value of QE is turning out to be 1.8. Now, from using the condition, that is, for safe design, wear load should be greater than or equal to dynamic load. Substituting this equation in the term of wear load and finding the value of stress factor K, I can find the BHN as, we know the value of D1, which is 60 millimeters, times B1 is 84.328 times Q equivalent is 1.8 times the stress factor K, which I should calculate, divided by cos of delta 1. Delta 1 is known to us, which is 18.435 degrees Celsius, which should be greater than or equal to dynamic load. The dynamic load is calculated and we found out it as 31,533 newtons. If I simplify, I will get the value of stress factor K, it should be greater than or equal to 3.2847. Once we have calculated the value of K, now referring to table 12.16, from table 12.16 of page number 239 of our design data handbook, for steel and steel, with 20 degrees, the value greater than 3.2847 is that we can adopt the value of K as 3.413. If I adopt the value of K as 3.413, I will get the BHN of pinion and gear as 500 and 450 respectively. That is, the BHN of pinion and gear are turning out to be, adopting K is equal to 3.413, we have BHN of pinion and BHN of gear. BHN of pinion is 500 and BHN of gear is 450. So this is the complete solution of the given problem, in which in the first half of the problem we have calculated the module. The module for the given problem is turning out to be 8 millimeters. In the second half of the problem we have recommended the surface hardness. The BHN for the pinion is turning out to be 500 and BHN for gear is turning out to be 450. That's all from this lecture. Thank you.